Welcome to this week's edition of the Old Paratrooper podcast. But before we get started, I want to tell you about our new sponsors, Veterans for Veterans. If you served after 1987 and your hearing's taken a knock from your time in the forces, these are the people to speak to. They've helped thousands of veterans like us claim compensation for tinnitus and hearing loss. They're ex-military themselves, so they genuinely get it.
It's free to check if you qualify, and the claim's a no-win, no-fee. To get started, click the link in this video or visit veteransforveterans.co.uk.
Today's edition, I'm joined by a brother, an airborne brother, former paratrooper and bare-knuckle boxer, Dale Fenton.
Yes,
How you doing, Dale?
Hello, I'm all right, brother. Are you?
Yeah, really good, mate. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. We got in touch
that's all right.
recently. I sorted your hearing claim out for you, and that's in the process.
Thank you.
We've been chatting and doing bits and bobs, and I've followed you for a little while. When your story come up about you stepping up to the plate at the last minute, we'll come on to in a bit. But what I like to do with all the podcasts, Dale, as you've probably seen, I like to start at the beginning. I like to get a bit of a background about the guest, where they grew up,
at all,
what they were like as a kid, and ultimately what led them down the route into Power Age and then on to what you're doing now. So yeah, over to you. Where you from, Dale?
Fab. So I'm born and raised in Carlisle, but I lived on the outskirts in a little village. I had a fairly good upbringing. Like there was no bad going ons in the family. I was surrounded by good things. There was no problems in life until after school. So I went to school and I was a social chameleon. I got involved in every crowd because I just love everybody. I love everybody's vibe. And after school, decided to do plumbing, and then I went traveling. I was off traveling for like 3 years. Went to Australia, did Singapore, Dubai. And then I went to Turkey. I lived in Turkey for a year, fell in love with a Turkish girl. That was a mistake. And then everything started unfolding for the bad, mate. Everything started becoming a bit mischievous. So I fell asleep at the wheel of a car driving back from Manchester to Carlisle. And I think I got community service for it, for careless driving, whatever it was. And I just got introduced to the wrong crowd. I'd never really been in and around bad lads before because I wasn't a bad lad. But then I got a community service and I was surrounded by him. So life just took a turn. I went to Australia, lived in Australia for a year. That was fantastic. But again, well, I might as well be honest with everyone. I got addicted to meth while I was in Australia. Everybody smoked it like our generation back here smokes weed. Everyone was smoking crystal meth. So I got addicted to crystal meth. I lived in a car for a few weeks. Life was rough, but I made a good amount of money in Australia. Just grafting, working hard, because they're youngers. They don't really graft that hard, whereas ours, we like to graft in this country. Brought up as grafters. So I made a good amount of money, came back and then settled down, joined the army. Like I say, I got involved with the bad crowd after community service, and I was put in front of a judge, and the options were prison or you follow through with your army application and join the army. So I took that option. Either prison or you're going to give me a rifle. I'll take the rifle.
You know what? You joke about that, but like generally the amount of blokes I speak to that was kind of on that same path. My path is a little bit similar. It was a bit like, right, you're going down the wrong route, join the military. And I hear it so much. And obviously that's put you on the straight and narrow. And there's a lot to be said about that when we talk about national service and stuff like that, how good it would be for a lot of the youth of today just to step up to the plate, do a couple of years in the military, change your life, doesn't it?
Absolutely, it changes your life. And I think national service is a great idea. I think instead of going to college and stressing out the education system, put them through the army. It gives more people jobs in the army and it recruits more people. They can do a couple of years doing a degree in whatever it is, engineering, let's say, which is good. They can either leave after 2 years once they've got the qualifications or stick out in the army. I wouldn't say infantry is a good idea for national service, but if you can get an education in the army and get all the values and standards that the army brings, absolutely, 100%. Takes them off the streets and keeps them out of trouble.
Yeah, 100%. I've been a big advocate for this. It gets a lot of criticism. You can't do that because of my human rights and stuff like that. And I get it, but I think the army gets a bad rep. People think army, foreign country, sandy, desert.
You just think of the infantry. You just think of the foot soldiers, don't you? Whenever someone says, "Oh, soldier," you're like, right, instantly, jarhead. All the movies, because that's how it's spread. Really, it's through all the movies. It makes it look, well, glorifies the infantry. It's all about the infantry. But when there's loads more to it, all the attachments, there's good careers to be made in the army, and it's not just shooting a rifle. It's mega. I love the army. I love the camaraderie, the life itself, army life. It's mega. I'm going down to Colchester. When is it? 22nd, I think, are doing a behind the wire charity event, support our paras. Have you seen it or not?
I've come across it. Yeah, I get lots of stuff that come across my
Yeah,
my
so
email.
it's an evening at the officers' mess for civilians to go behind the wire and have a look into army life on camp, because that's the side of it you don't see either. You don't really see the life on camp. You just see all the war and everything else around it. So it's a 3-course dinner with entertainment and speeches. So I'm going down to present support our paras with a check with all the money that we've raised through the fight, because of course any soldier that comes to the fight, my commission goes straight to support our paras. I'd like to give some back to the RBL and SAFA as well, but the main focus is this one. They're the Paratrooper Fenton. It's going back to support our paras. So I think the check will be around 1,500 quid, which is pretty good. That's a good amount of money. But I've used support our paras. I've had to lean on them. So this is my way of giving back. And if I can raise more to give it to others, then that's brilliant. That's what I'm trying to do.
No, brilliant, pal. Brilliant, pal. Well, let's backtrack a bit and let's talk about your sort of introduction to the military. Was it always going to be Power Edge, or was that kind of like when you realised, right, I'm going to join the army, that's the one I'm going to go for?
No, that was a complete accident. I've never heard of Para Edge before. I wanted to join the army when I was younger, but life unfolded a different way. And then I thought, right, the opportunity's come. I'm gonna join the army now. So it was always going to be infantry. But I got there and I did the course at Carlisle Castle there, and the lad was saying in the careers officers, is you come across as cocky. He's like, it's confidence really. He's like, but it's in that arrogant sort of way. He's like, the paratroopers. He said it in a different way, but that's what he meant. So I was like, I looked into it. I was like, oh, Para Edge seems that's hardcore. That's pretty intense, because I was looking at P Company, of course, when you read up on the training course of it. I was like, P Company looks tough. And I even got halfway through training. I got, I don't know, a week 11 or 12 was saying, I put my letter in. I was like, I've had enough, man. My body's breaking down here. I was like, this is too much for me. And they were like, you're not fucking jacking in at all. Little did I know that the bosses and all the training team had put a little wager on of who was going to quit. So the boss had money on me to see the distance. So the boss was like, nah, you're not going anywhere. You're staying here. So thanks, boss.
No, fair one, buddy. Fair one. It is a cheeky. I had some sort of waivers and parts throughout after failing P Company twice and stuff like that. It was a bit like, is this for me? But I'm glad I saw it through, and obviously you are as well. It's so. Did you get through P Company first time?
Yeah, first time. Honestly, mate, I got beasted. Like going through training as just a regular head down kind of guy, you're getting beasted anyway. But because I was so cocky and arrogant, I was forever in the corridor, getting absolutely murdered. So I was fit as a fiddle, mate. I think that's why my body was breaking down. But I smoked the whole time. I wasn't very healthy. I treated it just like I was on the piss, basically. I was drinking all the time and I was smoking still. But Bradley Clements, he said something that will never ever leave my head. He said it's not about getting fitter, it's about getting better at hanging out. So that's why the smokers did well, because they were used to hanging out. Any sort of fizz, if you're going for a run or a tab, you're knackered as soon as you set off because you're a smoker. Whereas all the fit lads, who are normally absolutely shredding everything, no drama, when they start hanging out, they start panicking. And that's when the voice in the head starts telling them, nah, jack in, you need to fucking get off, get on that jack wagon. Whereas you unfit lads, it was just another day in the park. So for me, P Company wasn't that bad. Beat up was miserable. Getting ready for P Company, that's miserable. You get beasted far more than P Company itself. But to take you above that level you need to be, and then it's a cruise when you come to do it. So I enjoy P Company. It was mega. I've got all the pictures and all the videos still. Just me smiling all the way around. Everything smiling. Even in milling, there's a picture of me smiling and milling. I can't take the smile off my face. I'm always happy.
That's bonkers. That's the first time I've ever heard it explained like that. And I was a smoker through as well, so I actually really do relate to what you said. I was used to hanging out my arse. Every fitness session I went on, I knew it was going to be absolutely diabolical and I was going to be hanging out, but it just became the norm. So I do resonate in what you're saying there, and that is a weird way of looking at it, but it actually makes sense in my brain, mate.
Well, yeah, like I say, all the fit lads who never really struggle, they ended up struggling and like shit. Start panicking. Whereas we, nah, minging the whole way.
Fair one, buddy. Fair one. No, I like it. I like that analogy of it. So
Mm.
obviously, yeah, you got through. Obviously, a bit cocky, a bit gobby. I can relate. Again, I was a bit the same. I got beasted a bit for being not necessarily cocky, but like cheeky and tried to. I
Uh,
always try and take the piss and have a laugh. And obviously, you can't get. Well, I think the depot screws secretly like that about you. You've got something about
yeah,
you,
of
but
course.
you also gets you a lot of thrashings, and you got a character, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you try and befriend them because I'm a friendly kind of guy. I'm trying to befriend the staff, and it just doesn't work that way. We're not friends. I'm here to fucking turn you into a soldier. I'm not your friend. But then as soon as it's all over, I'm still friends with them all now. I still speak to every single one of them. I'm hoping Mick Scarrett's is going to come down to my fight on the 15th of November because he only lives at Appleby, which is round the corner. So I think he's doing a lot of things, man. He's a busy man. But I'm hoping he comes down. So well, I don't think the others will come, but that would be good if I get Mick down.
Yeah, awesome stuff. You always have your fond memories of your depot screws, don't you? They
Yeah,
shape
yeah,
you
of
into
course.
the kind of the person you are. I say it all the time. That those years in depot, I relate to now when I call upon when times are tough and go, look, you went through that. You can do anything you set your mind to, and I think it's a good mindset to have. And obviously,
Yeah, of
you've
course.
taken that forward into your kind of sort of fighting stuff. So fast forward through depot, got through depot first time. Obviously P company, your jumps and stuff like that. So what
Hmm,
battalion have
hmm.
you gone to when you passed depot?
I went to Free Para, who's straight into A Company, Free Platoon. It was mega. Fucking loved it. I was only there, I think it was 4 weeks after the jumps course. We arrived at battalion and then we're straight off to America. So 6 weeks in America. We did 4 weeks training and then 2 weeks on the piss, basically. And that was mega. And then we got straight back. We had 3 weeks at home, I think, and then we were straight off to the Falklands. So going from Miami Beach to the Falklands was miserable. And I think we were in the Falklands for 3 months and then we came back and it was only another 6 weeks and then we went off to Kenya for 6 weeks. It was a mad first year. We were just abroad the whole time. But it was brilliant experience. Obviously, new guy, turned the battalion straight away to America, training with the 82nd Airborne. I was speaking one of the lads came through to Edinburgh from the 82nd Airborne and it was only a couple of weeks ago. I put it on my Facebook. I met him up in Edinburgh. I think it can't have been 13 years. That's the number I'm going with. I think it might well have been 13 years since I saw him last. And it was like I'd seen him 2 minutes ago. It was mega. Paratroopers, man, are just a different breed, aren't they?
Around the world, mate. Yeah, they seem to be like the brotherhood runs strong. So what year did you
Yeah,
join
very
them?
strong.
What actual year did you get in to them?
2014. Yeah,
2014.
2014.
So as far
Yeah.
as ops goes, you were in for a little bit of like, unfortunately, a bit of a quiet time when it came to ops, weren't you?
Yeah, it's funny you say unfortunately. I always wished for something to happen when I was in the army. You get trained and of course you're on like 24 hours notice to move, 2 weeks notice to move, different notices to move and you're wound like a fucking spring. You're constantly training hard and you're just wishing, right, let's go exercise what I've been trained. But then since having my daughter and since getting out, I look back and I'm grateful that nothing happened. But you're right, I got in just after all Afghan had finished and then I got out just before it started kicking off with Syria and Ukraine. So I fell in that for me, it was good. It was perfect. I never got to exercise that right, which I'm grateful for, if I'm honest, because a lot of people have a lot of problems with, war zones and such. PTSD, it's a massive thing. So I'm in a way
Yeah,
grateful,
absolutely.
but yeah.
Yeah, it is, buddy. It is, and you can only serve in the time that you were in. You went,
Mm,
wherever they sent you. I was in at a busy time, but I'm always dead honest about nothing was majorly kinetic. I was lucky enough to get to Sierra Leone with two para when they were
mm,
attached to one para, and subsequently. But I left prior to it getting busy, and I think if I'd have known now what I knew back, back then, I'd have probably stayed in and gone on them Afghan
yeah, of
tours. But at the
course.
same time also you look at exactly what you've said. Look at the guys that are missing limbs and are suffering PTSD, and obviously the main reason why I do the podcast is to kind of raise that awareness about the suicides. There's a lot of guys that
Hmm.
come back off those tours and sadly take their own life or end up in a bad way. So it's careful
Yeah,
what you
I
wish
know
for, isn't
exactly
it?
what you mean. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying that you have to go to war to get PTSD because there's many forms of it, but yeah, it's incredibly sad. I think I've lost three. Or I'll know of at least five army lads that have taken their lives, not just from the parachute regiment, but across the whole army sector. I'm sure I'm on five lads that I know personally that have taken their lives, and I've spoken to two of them just weeks before and days before I've done it. It's disgusting, and I don't know, it's hard. It is. I don't really like talking about it, but it is something that needs talked about because it's a very serious issue. It is, I think, the way
Yeah,
that
it
veterans
is.
get treated on a whole, not just with PTSD, but on the whole, all of the injuries. Like, I've been fighting for 8.5 years for my compensation. 8.5 years, I'm still fighting. It's mad. And you would think it'd be obvious, like my accident. So going back, so 2014 joined, had a busy couple of years, and then 2016 we went to Germany for Operation. Well, it wasn't. It was an exercise, swift response, but it was a show of force to Putin when he started moving all of his subs. So it was a massive NATO exercise, but the wind speeds were just too high, and we jumped when we shouldn't have. It hadn't even been signed off on the flight manifest, but that's another story anyway. So my parachute just choked. The rigging lines just started twisting. The parachute choked, and I fell 600 feet. And you'd think that that's evidence enough, right? He's fell 600 feet. He's got traumatic injuries to his knees, his hips, his spine, his neck, and they refused to tie the incidents together. They were saying, "Oh, it's because you fell off your bike when you were a child." They came up with all these weird and unreasonable excuses as to what had happened to me, rather than saying, "Oh, he fell out of a plane and fell 600 feet. He's got these injuries. That's what's happened." And I had to fight for 2 years just to get compensation for that. But unfortunately, I've got degenerative change. So if you imagine an apple, if you just sit it in your fruit bowl, it's going to be fine for a few weeks. But if you dig your knuckle into the apple, it's just going to bruise and swell, and it's going to degenerate in days. Well, that's what's happened to all my cartilage. So that high impact of falling 600 feet, it sort of punctured all of my cartilage, so all the articular cartilage. So it started off pretty slow, degenerative. In 2019, I had my first surgery. So it was 3 years after the accident, and it was at 40% loss. So that's grade 2 articular cartilage damage. And then 2021, I had MRIs and it was reduced to 60%. And then 2024, and then this year when I've had the surgery, it's completely gone. All the articular cartilage damage is completely gone. Grade 4 articular cartilage damage. And they're still arguing against this. They're saying, oh, it hasn't plateaued to a steady state, so we can't assess what criteria you fall into. But I could just go on forever. Like now my knees are starting, I've got bony growths in both my hips. So I'm supposed to, in November, after my fight, have hip surgery where I take both the femurs out of the socket, plane them down, plane the socket down, and put my legs back inside my hips. That's what we're planning on doing in November. And I'm still having to fight to say I'm fucked. It's a disgrace. I've taken it as high as I can possibly go. I got in touch with my local constituent MP, who escalated it to another MP. And I've spoken to Alistair Cairns, the Minister for Veterans Affairs. I've spoken to Dan Jarvis. I even spoke to his secretary, the shadow Minister for Veterans Affairs. Sorry, that's a mouthful, that. To say this is how I'm being treated. This is a response I've had. I've been fighting for 8.5 years. How do you feel about that? So I've started a discussion in the House of Commons, citing my case, and I'm still sat here thinking, I've had nothing. Like I've had no compensation for my injuries whatsoever. I've reapplied for a tier 2 medical discharge, so I get my benefits each month. But I've had to take that to IRDP, and I know it'll go to the ombudsman, which is part of the reason I'm doing bare-knuckle boxing. And I know that's going to raise eyebrows. Like, hang on a minute, you're claiming that you're knackered, your lower limbs are knackered, but you're getting in the ring and you're fighting. Mate, honestly, training for a bare-knuckle fight, I'm doing an hour a day at the gym, opposed to a 8 to 12 hour day running my electrical business. It's a no-brainer. And they're like, oh, well, you're fighting, you're getting in there, you're clearly physically fit. And my fights in total have lasted 2 minutes and 11 seconds. And from that, I can get paid an okay amount of money to keep my head afloat, because I can't work anymore. I can't do a 40, 50, 60-hour week because of my injuries. But I can bare-knuckle box. So I'm trying to raise a profile. So one, I've got a little bit of income to support my family. And two, to raise a profile, because otherwise I'm just another veteran who's sitting there complaining about how he's been treated. But if I've got a public profile, especially if it's going to the courts through ombudsman, I don't mind getting the media involved. And I think that's what the MOD don't like. When someone's got a bit of a profile and it's gaining traction, they don't like the attention, especially if there's like negligence and that sort of stuff involved. But I mean, I'm willing to do that because it's 8.5 years I've been fighting. I'm knackered. My body's falling. I'm 35-year-old and I'm riddled with arthritis, and I'm not being paid out by the people who were supposed to protect you. I could go on about this for hours, mate. It's something I'm really, really, really passionate about because I've gone through it, and the mental trauma that it adds to the whole situation is just as bad. Like I was saying before, PTSD has many forms, and I'm not ashamed to say that this has given me PTSD. I have no trust whatsoever in establishments anymore. These people are supposed to protect us. We sign on the line, and that's something that annoys me. And I know it annoys you when people say, oh, well, you signed up to do it. You must know the risk. Yes, I do understand the risk, but I also understand that there's things like the Armed Forces Covenant that are supposed to protect you if you're injured. JSP 764, JSP 765. I know it all like the back of my hand because I've had to study it to be able to fight my cause, which I shouldn't have to do. I shouldn't have to fight for compensation when it's so blindingly obvious. But this is the things you have to do. Fight or perish is a there's a lad in Free Para who started the clothing brand Fight or Perish. And I love the message. That's genuinely what I'm having to do. I have a fight for it. Because I think after your first rejection on compensation, a lot of people will just go, nah, all right, I've lost. I'm not entitled to it. But if you know the literature and you know how to word things, because that's what they'll turn around and say, oh, this is what it says in our schedule, 2011 or schedule 3, the order 2011 schedule 3. If you don't specifically write down the descriptor of injury, how they write it, you're not entitled to nothing. It's disgusting how you get treated. It is genuinely. I'm passionate about it, brother.
No, you have to be. You have to be, and it annoys the absolute shit out of me because you look at we're the only country, I believe, that treat our veterans like we do. If you were a veteran in America and you're injured in the line of duty or on an exercise or something that the military are accountable for, in your case, which they are, you had a parachute malfunction, the conditions weren't right, lots of stuff that's gone on there that they've not done correctly, then you should be looked after for the rest of your life. And again, you will get the criticism on this. I know you will. I've had it. They're like, well, there's a lot of people that sit there behind a keyboard as well that fucks me right off keyboard.
What is a civilians
Never say it
as
to
well?
you in person. Never say it to you in person. And they'll sit there and say, you signed up on the line. Yeah, we did. We signed up when others didn't want to do it. We put ourselves forward to go anywhere that the military centers worldwide at a moment's notice to protect. You will get people go, oh, you were working for a government. Yeah, a lot of the time they might be hidden agendas with governments, but what we were there on the ground doing on ops and all that stuff was protecting life. Seen it firsthand. And like it's the same, you're training for it on exercise and stuff like that. And if things go wrong, you at least want to be provided for and looked after. I don't think it's a lot to ask for. Do you know what I mean?
No, I mean,
So
these
when
things
fuck
are
you
set up. It's
about,
not like we're
because-
asking them to set this up. It's already set up. We're just not giving you it. It's like, oh no, you're not eligible. Yeah, it's set up, but it's not for you. It's for other people. It's like, what on earth do I have to prove? So we're not asking a lot. You've already set it up. The establishment's there to pay out and protect us. You're just not giving it to us. I don't understand why.
The pot's there, the money's there. The MOD have this money. It's the same as hearing claims. They have the money there to pay the veterans out, but a lot of veterans begrudge going forward and doing the claim because they think, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm an ambulance chaser or stuff like that. But it's not the case. If you've been injured in the line of duty with the military, whether on exercise or you've been damaged as a result of them not providing proper kit and equipment, then you need to be compensated accordingly. And especially with your circumstances, impacting you moving forward as a 35-year-old, this is going to have, and obviously you're more than aware of this, it's going to have detrimental effects on your health moving forward, which is going to result in possible hip replacements, knee replacements, and at your age, you're probably going to need 2 or 3 of them throughout your life.
Oh, well, this is the issue. They won't give it to me. I'm too young. The NHS want to replace my knees, but they won't do it because the lifespan of the knee, and you can only do it twice, apparently. And if it lasts 10 years, 35 to 45, 45 to 55, that's me. I'm knackered at 55. Can't do it again. And I'm not saying medical science won't advance where it'll be possible, but at the current times, they won't put a knee replacement in. They won't do it, and I need it. It's literally grinding the bones together. So I've got a full thickness rupture of the patellofemoral articular. I don't know, it's a very posh word. But it's where your patella sits in your groove like that. It sits in and it's full fixtured rupturely. So my patella is literally grinded that groove soft and my patella just floats about. The knee is completely compromised. I have no idea how I'm still able to do the things I can do. But it's just, I think it's up here more than anything. I always say to people, I wish you could feel how I feel. Just for one day we swap bodies. I swear you wouldn't get out of bed. The average man would not get out of bed. I'm in pain constantly. I'm literally fighting or perishing. So that's what I'm doing in the ring. Wah! And I'm enjoying it as well because it's fucking brilliant. It's such a buzz.
Well,
Nothing compares to jumping out of a plane, mate, but that is good.
Yeah, no, I get you. So let's come on to that. Obviously, you've had your accident. You stayed in the military after your accident for a number of years. Modified duties, so to speak, or?
Yeah, I mean, straight afterwards, it sounds mad, but it wasn't extremely bad. Like after a couple of weeks, the pain sort of subsided. But because it's degenerative change, like I say, that apple bruising, Now it's just slowly degraded. But yeah, straight afterwards, I was put on D&Ds, I was smashing it. And then I thought, you know what? I want to be an officer. So I went under the CO for 6 months as his driver, and he would give me essays to do. I would have to do presentations. Just as a sort of, and it was an insight into an officer's life. Obviously, coming from the ranks into going as the officer, it's very different. So it was an opportunity for me to see the officer life and to do a bit of training under the CO, and then it just started deteriorating. And I think I went through 2.5 years of physiotherapy because it was just getting painful. And the functional restrictions on it was getting tighter and tighter. I couldn't squat anymore, and I loved the gym. I think I was 110 kilos at my heaviest, and I was shredded, like 6-7% body fat. I was enormous, a little rhinoceros. I loved the gym, and I just couldn't do it anymore. My legs were getting skinnier and skinnier. I was getting depressed. I was thinking, what the? And I went from 110 kilos down to 69 kilos. That is miserable because I was just going through physio for 2.5 years, getting in the pool, doing aquatherapy. I was paying privately for acupuncture. I was doing, well, I had to pay privately for my first operation because the army refused to do it. They sent me for one MRI scan on my left knee and it came back as normal. I was like, oh, well, we'll do the right knee because that's the worst one. They were like, well, we've done one already. You're normal. And then it was like 1.5 years into the physio. I was like, this is getting nowhere. If anything, it's getting worse. So I went to a private hospital in Chelmsford for my first surgery. And he's like, we'll just open you up and have a look. He says, an MRI scan, it's like looking at the hinge of a door. If you've got the door closed, well, it looks sweet. If you open the door and all the hinges fall to bits, well, it's knackered, isn't it? He says, the MRI is just, I'm looking at an image of your knee shut. He says, you open it and it might fall to bits. So he went in, had a look, and he was like, yeah, it's pretty rough. He gave us a trim down of all the loose cartilage, and he said, you've lost about 40%, which is very unusual for someone at your age. So obviously explained the high impact trauma, and he was like, well, that's what it is. So he wrote a letter to the army, which is what encouraged my medical discharge. But he said it's only going to get worse. He said within the next 5 years, it could completely deteriorate unless he changes his lifestyle. I've got that letter sent to the army, and then still nothing. So 5 years later, exactly how we predicted, 2019 to 2024, there's nothing left. 100% articular cartilage loss. He was right in 2019, and the army knew it back then. So if I'd been awarded with a tier 2 medical discharge and the correct compensation, I probably wouldn't have had to work to a point where now it's completely degraded. That's another viewpoint I have. If I could just done it initially when I was eligible and listened to the advice of the surgeon, then I probably wouldn't be at the point I am now. It would still be degrading, but I wouldn't have had to smash 12, 14, 15-hour days to earn money. I changed my house. I completely rebuilt my house so that I could live downstairs if it got so bad. So I put in a downstairs bedroom, downstairs bathroom. I put in widened doorways in case I needed a wheelchair. I put high seat toilets in so I don't have to squat down as far. Open showers. Completely renovated my house for the foresight of I could be completely disabled in a few years. And now here we are, 2020, 2025, and I'm just slowly grinding everything away. Pretty miserable.
Wow. Yeah,
Keeping a smile on, though, doing what I can.
No, well, you seem very upbeat about it, and I do love the fight or perish kind of. I think it's very, very fitting actually for your sort of situation. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah,
talking about the bare-knuckle boxing. So I've seen you knock around. Obviously, same circle of friends, even though different eras, but obviously mutual friends. As you'd expect from the Parachute Regiment Brotherhood. But what we really kind of landed sort of, someone sent me something, I think it was a few months back, I could be wrong, I don't know how long ago, in my mind, I'm all over the place, but it was you attending a bare knuckle fight. I tell you what, I'll let you tell the story of how this come about. You attended as a guest at a bare knuckle fight, am I correct?
Yeah. In February of this year, one of my friends, I think he sponsored the first event. So the very first bare knuckle event in Carlisle, he sponsored it. I think it puts a bit of money in the business so he can run the first event. So I went down as one of his guests for his VIP tickets. And I was just watching it in awe. I was getting adrenaline like pumping through my chest like I was walking to the door of the plane. It's something I haven't felt for ages because you know what it's like when you're getting in a fight. And like if you're a passenger and someone else is driving and then someone approaches and you instinctively put your foot on the brake as a passenger. That's what it was like when I was sat in the crowd. I was like throwing shots that I could see, and I thought, I'm going to do this, mate. I'm 100% going to do this. So I reached out to the lad who runs the show, the matchmaker, Lee Shepherd, and I messaged him and I said, I haven't really got any experience, but I was in the Para Reg for 8 years. Not that means anything to him. But I was like, I'd like to give it a go. And he was like, well, all right, I'll keep you in mind. But then the show got filled up full of fighters. I didn't end up on the show. And I was on holiday with the missus out in Turkey. And I was just scrolling through Facebook and I'd seen, 88 kilo fighter needed. Someone's dropped out. So I was like, ran up to the scales, jumped on. I was like, 88 kilos. Like, yes. So I ran down. I said to the missus, I think I'm going to do it. You know, she went, are you mad? I was like, no. She's like, when is it? It's like, 10 days. And we didn't fly back for another 4 days or something. So it was only 3 days after the holiday. And I just jumped in there. I had no coach. I had no corner man. Like, I turned up on the night and I was just sat there as I am now with my headphones on for about 6 hours waiting for my fight. And then they came out and they're like, where's your corner man? I was like, I haven't got one. It's like, you need a fucking corner man. What if it goes to the second round? I was like, I won't go to the second round. Don't panic. And he was like, no, you need a corner man. So he's like, Jack, do you mind doing it? So a lad called Jack Blair, who's now Scottish champion and fighting in BKFC, he cornered us and he was like, what's your stance? And I was like, I don't know, mate. I'm just going to see what happens. He was like, no, how do you box? I was like, I'm not a boxer. I've never done boxing in my life. I'm just coming in for a fight. And he was like, are you mad? He was like, right, just go in there and have fun. I was like, I think he was just expecting us to get knocked out. Yeah, the very last second of the first round, clocked him with a massive overhand right and knocked him clean out. He was on the canvas for about 15 minutes, I think, with oxygen and paramedics all around him. It wasn't good. Didn't feel good on my part. Like, obviously, I won, so it felt good, but I was like, shit, this guy's hurt. So I thought, I might give this a go.
Fuck, that is, mate.
That was the tick in the box.
Just sums up again, and you'll get all sorts of people watching this and going, "Oh, but it does." I think that sums up Power Rage mentality, personally, or military sort of mentality as well. Not just Power Rage, but military mentality is like, sod it, I'll have a go. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? You've stepped up.
Exactly.
Could have
I've been
gone
in
very
worse
wrong.
situations.
Yeah, yeah, I bet. So did that then lead on to you going, right, this is me then, I'm going to have a go at this and see where it goes?
Well, I had surgery straight after that fight. I had surgery on my left knee and the recovery was not as I expected. It was supposed to be 6 to 12 weeks. And at the 12-week point, I was still in agony. But I'd already agreed to do another fight in August. So I'd literally just had surgery and I was limping like a madman. And I got in the ring and I thought, I just need to knock this guy out as quick as I can. I've got no time to mess about because I can't bounce about. Obviously, boxing, you're back and forwards, bouncing about on your knees. I thought, I can't do it. If I get to the second round, I'm going to be knackered. And I knocked him out in 8 seconds. Oh, job done. That'll do. That will do.
That's
but I'd had a bit of
impressive.
training. But yeah, I did do a little bit of training, but my knee was in bits, so I couldn't do a lot. I'd maybe put about 20 or 30 hours into it. So
That is,
this time
yeah.
round, even better,
So
even more exciting, isn't it? Go on, mate.
So when is your next fight now?
It's in 2 weeks' time, 15th of November, for a British middleweight championship for a title this time round. Oosh. So the lad who I'm fighting against, he's had 3 bare-knuckle fights. His first one was in February when I was watching as a spectator, and then he fought in May on the same show as me and won the title. And then he fought in August and defended the title. So this will be his second title defense attempt.
What do you reckon? What do you reckon to him? Is he any good? What's your honest opinions on him?
It's very funny watching bare-knuckle fighting. It's not boxing. So if you were to look at him, you go, he's shit. Like, he can't box at all. But I'm not a boxer either. I'm a fighter. So he's a bit scrappy. He's even called Mal the Scrapper Sowerby because he just likes to scrap. He's very scrappy. But I'm not a boxer either. And when I'm fighting against boxers, like sparring or doing technical work with them, they're like, you're really awkward. It's like, because I'm not a technical boxer. I'm coming in with my own ideas of how to throw a punch, if you will. So it's the same. So everyone's sort of writing Mal off, whereas I can't write him off because I'm not a boxer either, and I'm just a fighter as well. So I'd say it's fairly 50-50. He's coming in there for a scrap, and I'm just looking to knock him out clean. But he's adamant that it's not going to happen. He keeps telling. I've seen him twice because we both live in Carlisle, and I saw him up at the co-op. I ran over. I was like, ah! And he was like, oh man, what you doing? And we had about a 15-20 minute chat just about life and the fight. And he's like, you're not going to knock me out, you know? I was like, well, I hope I don't. I'd rather have a 5-round war. But I don't think it's going to happen, if I'm honest, Chris.
No, mate, I like your positivity. Mate, I like the whole story behind it and everything else. Obviously, the shit part is obviously you're suffering with your injuries and you're still no sort of closer to kind of getting sorted again, which massively annoys me. So hopefully some people will see this and hopefully it'll make a difference. But certainly I hope this gathers you some support. So to everyone that's watching, go get yourself tickets. I'll put a link in the bio to this. So to anyone that's watching, get out there, click on the link, get yourself some tickets, go support Dale, and watch him knock out someone in hopefully about 30 seconds.
No, not 30 seconds. We're going for 6 seconds. So one of the lads who I was in, nah, never mind the knees. I'm going for 6 seconds. That's what I'm doing. One of the lads I was in depot with, Pritchard, he just fought on Bad to the Bone, and he got the fastest knockout in Bad to the Bone history at 7.6 seconds or something. So I need to beat Dan. He's a para. He was in one para. I think he just got out last year or a year before. It might even still be in if I'm totally honest. But yeah, he's got the fastest knockout in Bad to the Bone history. So I'm going for the fastest knockout in Spartan history. If I haven't already got it, I'm going for 6. I need to beat Dan. One back, dude, finish 6 seconds. How you doing? Woo!
That inter-regiment rivalry again, eh?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Very competitive, full of alpha males, isn't it? So it's just dog eat dog. But thank you, mate. I'll get another 30 tickets thrown on Saturday, so that I don't sell out it before you put the link up, because I'd like the opportunity for more paratroopers to come. Because the more paras come, the more money I'm raising for support our paras. So if we can get $2,000 instead of 1,500, mega. As many blokes as I can to come. Like I say, I'm not making money, but to have Reg boys there in the crowd cheering me on. I've got 30 flags upstairs. So the Airborne Forces charity shop, they donated us 10 flags, and Support Our Paras, they donated 10 flags. So I'm just going to lash them out to the lads in the crowd. But if Para-Reg lads are coming, bring your own flags. I want to see a fucking sea of maroon. Because I think it's 700 capacity, and I think I'm on about 130 ticket sales. So if I get another 30, that's nearly quarter of the place with a fucking Reg flag. Oh, that'd be mega.
It will be
Lift
mega,
the
mate.
roof
What
off.
an atmosphere that will be. Well, what I'll do, buddy, is I'll stick out some clips. I'll pick out some points of this podcast. Hopefully, we'll generate some sort of publicity behind it. Hopefully, we'll get sort of the Reg community seeing it. I know the Reg community will be behind you, whatever, but let's see if we can get some more tickets sold and get some blokes down there and on your support. And for everyone watching at home, go support Dale. Go follow him on his social media. He really, really needs the support there. Thank you, Dale. But thank you. Absolute pleasure, buddy.
Awesome, Chris. Pleasure. Thanks, brother. Take care.